Have you ever stopped to wonder where the very substance of our world comes from? From the smallest insect to the largest whale, every living creature requires energy to survive. For most of life on Earth, that energy begins with a single, silent, and miraculous process. It is the fundamental alchemy of our planet, turning sunlight into the tangible material of life itself. This process is called photosynthesis, the bedrock of our vibrant living world. Its quiet work even sustains the breath in our lungs. To witness this incredible transformation, we must travel deep inside a plant cell, to a specialized structure of almost unimaginable elegance, the chloroplast. These tiny green organelles are the exclusive sites of photosynthesis, the biological factories where the magic happens. A single leaf cell can contain dozens of these chloroplasts, each one a self-contained world of chemical industry. Their intricate internal architecture is not accidental. Every fold and compartment serves the steps of turning light into food. Inside are interconnected, flattened membrane sacs called thylakoids, the solar panels of the cell. In many areas, thylakoids are neatly stacked, forming grana, like piles of coins. This stacking boosts membrane surface area, letting plants pack immense numbers of light-harvesting molecules to capture every photon. Surrounding the grana is the stroma, the assembly floor where energy from thylakoids is used to build sugar molecules. The stroma is rich with enzymes and chemical ingredients necessary for construction. Separating thylakoids and stroma lets two very different reaction sets run simultaneously without interference, the key to efficiency. Light-dependent reactions occur in thylakoid membranes. Light-independent reactions, the Calvin cycle, occur in the stroma. Structure dictates function. Membranes anchor protein pigment complexes. The aqueous stroma provides the ideal medium for sugar-building enzymes. This elegant compartmentalization ensures precision and control. The story of photosynthesis begins in the thylakoid membrane with the light reactions. Pigments initiate the process, most famously chlorophyll, which makes plants green and absorbs blue-violet and red light. A photon strikes chlorophyll, exciting an electron, the spark that ignites the process. Light harvesting is done by two complexes, photosystem 2 and photosystem 1, operating in sequence, starting with photosystem 2. Light energizes an electron in photosystem 2, ejecting it to a neighboring molecule. To replace the lost electron, PSII splits water, releasing electrons, H+ ions, and oxygen. Pairs of oxygen atoms form O2, released to the atmosphere. The high-energy electron travels along the electron transport chain, a cascade that releases usable energy at each step. That energy drives H+ pumping from the stroma into the thylakoid interior, building a proton gradient. The electron reaches photosystem Y, where another photon re-energizes it. The re-excited electron moves down a shorter chain and, with a proton and NADP+, forms NADPH, a high-energy electron carrier like a freshly charged battery. By the end of the light reactions, solar energy is converted into ATP and NADPH. Oxygen is released as a waste product, our breath of life. ATP and NADPH move to the stroma to power sugar construction. Sequence: PSII excites electrons, ETC builds a proton gradient, PSI boosts electrons again to make NADPH. Next, the proton gradient will be tapped to make ATP, a process called photophosphorylation. The electron's journey created a powerful imbalance by pumping H+ into the thylakoid lumen. This builds a chemical gradient, with more protons inside, and an electrical gradient, with a more positive charge inside. The stored potential energy, the proton motive force, is like water behind a dam. Embedded in the thylakoid membrane is ATP synthase, a molecular turbine that lets protons flow back to the stroma. As protons rush through, part of ATP synthase spins, much like a water wheel or a windmill. That rotation drives chemistry. It attaches a phosphate to ADP to form ATP, the cell's universal energy currency. ATP powers countless processes, including muscle contraction, DNA replication, and more. Making ATP with light is called photophosphorylation, a fundamental energy conversion. At the end of the light reactions, ATP and NADPH head to the stroma to build sugars. Oxygen exits to the air. Now the cell is ready for the second act, the Calvin cycle. With the energy carriers ATP and NADPH now fully charged and ready, we move from the thylakoid membranes to the stroma for the Calvin cycle. These reactions are called dark, not because they need darkness, But because they don't directly require light, they rely on ATP and NADPH. The purpose is to fix atmospheric CO2 into a stable organic molecule, sugar. The cycle begins with carbon fixation. RuBisco, the most abundant enzyme on Earth, grabs CO2 and attaches it to the 5-carbon RuBP. An unstable 6-carbon intermediate forms, then splits into 2 3-carbon compounds. An inorganic carbon enters the biosphere. Next, reduction. Each 3-carbon molecule first receives a phosphate from ATP, then gains high-energy electrons from NADPH. They become glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, G3P, the true product and a versatile building block. 6 CO2 yield 12 G3P. Only 2 are net gain for the cell. Those 2 can form glucose for energy, starch for storage, or cellulose for structure. The remaining 10 G3P are rearranged, using additional ATP, to regenerate 6 RuBP. The cycle is ready to capture more CO2 and continue its life-sustaining work. In summary, the Calvin cycle turns CO2 into G3P using ATP and NADPH supplied by the light reactions. When CO2 is first fixed into a 3-carbon compound, it's called C3 photosynthesis, the most common pathway. Rice, wheat, soybeans. In heat and drought, stomata close to conserve water, dropping CO2 and raising O2 inside the leaf. RuBisco can bind oxygen, triggering photorespiration, a wasteful process that consumes energy and releases CO2 without making sugar. C4 photosynthesis, found in corn, sugarcane, and many tropical grasses, solves this with specialized leaf anatomy. An efficient enzyme fixes CO2 into a 4-carbon molecule that shuttles carbon to bundle sheath cells. There, CO2 is released in high concentration right where RuBisco works, reducing photorespiration. This lets C4 plants thrive in high light and heat, making them extraordinarily productive crops. CAM photosynthesis is a time-based solution used by cacti and succulents in arid climates. They open stomata at night to take in CO2 and store it as organic acids. By day, with stomata closed, those acids release CO2 to the Calvin cycle using ATP and NADPH. C4 separates steps by space. CAM separates by time, both minimizing photorespiration and saving water. These strategies are elegant evolutionary answers to environmental challenges. These pathways are not just textbook diagrams. They paint our world with color and life. Vast wheat fields and the verdant lawns in our neighborhoods are primarily C3 plants, efficient on mild, temperate days. In hot, dry spells, lawns brown and growth slows, a visible consequence of photorespiration. Corn, a classic C4 plant, concentrates CO2 and thrives in heat, a powerhouse of productivity. That's why corn and sugarcane underpin global food, animal feed, and biofuel supplies. CAM plants, like cacti, endure extreme drought by shifting CO2 intake to the night, achieving remarkable water efficiency. C3, C4, and CAM illustrate a core ecological principle. There is no single best pathway, only the best adapted one for a given climate. Photosynthesis is a beautifully integrated whole, from planet-scale ecosystems down to individual molecules. Producers capture solar energy that flows through every trophic level, sustaining herbivores, carnivores, and decomposers. At the organism level, leaves maximize light, and vascular tissues move water and sugars everywhere. Within cells, chloroplasts divide labor. Thylakoids make ATP and NADPH. The stroma builds sugars from CO2. If pigments, ATP synthase, or RuBisco fail, the chain halts. Yet trillions of chloroplasts worldwide sustain our atmosphere and life's energy budget. The food on our tables, the oxygen we breathe, and climate stability are all tied to this quiet chemistry inside a humble leaf. Photosynthesis is energy conversion, packaging diffuse sunlight into the ordered bonds of sugar. Sugars don't just fuel, they signal. Transported throughout the plant, they inform growth, new leaves, extending roots, producing flowers and fruit. These molecules form a communication network coordinating activities across countless cells. In heterotrophs, energy from food powers our own signaling, transmitting nerve impulses, releasing hormones, and contracting muscles. Ultimately, that energy traces back to the sun, captured by chloroplasts. Photosynthesis provides the fuel. Communication uses it to orchestrate life. We've seen how life captures energy. Now we ask how life uses that energy to perceive, respond, and communicate, the focus of the next chapter. Photosynthesis turns sunlight into chemical energy. Thylakoid light reactions make ATP and NADPH, The stroma's Calvin cycle fixes CO2 into G3P and sugars. C3, C4, and CAM are adaptations to the environment, minimizing waste, saving water, and maximizing productivity. This chemistry underpins food webs, fuels our breath, stabilizes the climate, and sets the stage for biological signaling. Photosynthesis is not an endpoint. It is the beginning of everything else. That wraps up Chapter 10, Photosynthesis. Next, we will review Chapter 11, Cell Communication.